Hello, my name is Haleem, Stringz Rasul. Hardcore Detroit is the brand. I do a Detroit cultural style called the jitting. I'm also a b-boy.
Hi, my name is Mary. I go by BGIRL Mama, and I am part of Hardcore Detroit as well as Venus Fly. And BGIRL, I do breaking. I do also some whacking, and I'm actually a performing artist. I sing and write songs as well.
Wow, I started dancing. I've been dancing since I can remember. In short, I had an older cousin who was in dance. He was a pillar of my family. Every time I would see him, I would want to be like him. His name was Haleem. He performed on a Detroit local television show called The Scene. It was a dance show. If you were on that show, you were a ghetto superstar, you know. And that's kind of like my first influence. And my older brother, he was a MC, so that kind of like took me down a hip hop path. And I got really like serious about dancing when I got into high school.
So I grew up in a large family. I am the youngest out of 7 kids. My brothers and sisters, they all sang and danced. In particular, my older brother Money and my older sister Paula, they taught me a lot of freestyle hip hop moves. At that time, I didn't know it was hip hop. And I was really, 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 really into, I still am, Janet Jackson and Paula Abdul. I mean, come on, like Control. I don't care what people think because that's how I grew up on. You know, I'm an '82 baby, so that's how I began to just dance in general. But with breaking, this was after I graduated high school. I went to a club called Tonic in downtown Pontiac, and I saw a dance cipher. Well, at the time, I just know it as a dance circle. I asked if I could go into the circle, and they're like, yeah, go for it. So I did a couple moves. I did a kick up, and I thought it was so cool. And when I went to St. Andrews a couple weeks later, I noticed that there was a couple girls that were stretching on the floor. I thought it was so cool. And I was like, I went up to them, and I was like, is this your breakdancing gang? Of course, they were like, first of all, it is not called breaking. It's not called breakdancing. It's called b-boying or breaking, and it's not a gang. It's a crew. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know anything about it, much about it. I'm still learning. I've always been hip hop freestyling all my life. Of course, that was March of 2001. They looked at me like I was crazy. I started from there at St. Andrews and never stopped. Oh my gosh. I said 2001, so that's like over 20 years. But yeah, that's how I started breaking, yeah, in the hip hop scene.
Yeah, well, when I graduated in college, I went to Western Michigan University, graduated in 2001. As soon as I graduated, I've been dancing all that time I was in school. So I established 2 businesses. One was a dance business, one was graphic design, which I got my degree in. And basically, like the dancing kind of like, it was really slow, but once we got like our first major gig, you know what I'm saying? Like a first contract, which was the DIA, they paid us a lot, it was a contract, I paid my dancers, I felt like that was kind of like, like a milestone right there, because, stepping stone. So, of course, when I got my tax ID number, paying people by checks, you know what I'm saying? And then another thing that kind of like solidified it was getting my first grant from Kresge Foundation.
2010.
2010, which was, they gave $25,000 for for, just for being an artist, you know what I'm saying, and showing, it was an application process, and basically, showing, what you do, why you do it, representing where you're from, and that was a big staple, getting that grant.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, with my travels as well, I've traveled all over. When I started, like the first time I went to Europe, I think it was in 2007, 2007.
Sweden?
Yeah. I went to Sweden to actually teach a Detroit style called Jitting, right? And that was like pretty huge, like there was interest outside of Detroit on this style and culture, and they invited me to teach a workshop and do demonstrations and things like that. So that was pretty major, and here I am, many years later.
So if it wasn't for Hardcore Detroit and my husband, I don't think I would be where I'm at right now. Like, alhamdulillah, like, seriously, praise is all due to him. So we started actually doing like free shows in like the early 2000s. We did school tours and everything like that to get like our name out there, volunteer and all of that before we even like booked the big shows that he's talking about. So that was huge. Like we even booked like Pistons like way back in the day as well. And he was actually part of the first, the D-Town. He was the choreographer and the captain for it the first couple of years that it was out. And then for me, I was so busy with what I was doing, I actually got my degree in business management, and I started doing managing a studio called Dance City Now Next at Broadway. I've been there for almost 10 years. It'll be 10 years this year, oh my gosh. But I've been doing that. I'm just been busy with that. But also as a professional, I been performing with Hardcore Detroit as a crew since like the early 2000s, and then we went battling. He judges battle, I judges battle, and we traveled around. Word got out and everything like that. My best friend actually, not at that time, she actually saw me at a 1 versus 1 B-girl battle called Breaking the Law in 2011, and her name is Amara Sackett. I love you. But I'm actually part of Mama Squared for that as well. She saw me there, and we did not exchange any numbers yet, and she didn't know where I was and whatnot. And 3 years later, she found me on Facebook and messaged me and was like, "Do you want to go on tour with me?" And I was like, "Excuse me?" And like here, my husband has been on tour. He's been so many places by that time. He's been to China, Paris, to name a few. So I actually was like, maybe my husband would be better because he actually has experience. And she really wanted me because I was a female, I was Muslim, and she wanted me be the other dancer. And it's called the Caravanserai Tour. And I went on tour with that in 2016 with the Reminders. Awesome duo, I love them, and then also DJ Mana Wax. And it was the 5 of us. We were Muslim. We were touring in South Dakota, North Dakota, like just to get people out there like that you can be Muslim and live hip hop at the same time, and just to show that. And because of hopefully my professionalism with her, we did more gigs in Connecticut and Maine and Miami, and I went on my first out-of-country tour in Malaysia back in 2018. That was so amazing. We toured Malaysia as Muslim hip-hop artists, as females, as women. It was so amazing, and to teach everybody that this is our choice, and we are strong females. We're here. Dance is good for self-expression, for exercise, to name a few, and for confidence, and just to be a strong woman. So that was awesome. And so from there, so that's basically it. Started from hardcore, went from, because of battling, put yourself out there, someone sees you, wants you on. I mean, it's about hard work and dedication. You know, it wasn't, oh my gosh, Mary BGIRL Mama is on tour. No, like I've been doing, you know, getting myself out there. It takes hard work.
Paying dues.
Paying dues. Yep.
So I started off as a b-boy, so breaking. Then you know there was a style that I would always see in Detroit. Later on, I found out it was exclusive to Detroit, and that's the jit. So you know I dabbled in that, but it wasn't until like the late '90s, early 2000s that I really like, you know, pursued that pretty seriously. Then kind of after that, you know, it kind of like opened up, you know, just like wanting to try out other things, you know. So I got into house dance, which is, it's like a cousin, you know, footwork cousin. And then I started to like really taking a liking more of the funk, you know what I'm saying? Getting back into, you know, what that means and like, you know, how that like changed the game, you know, in the 70s, and like that was just a great era. So then I started to like, you know, started learning a little bit of locking, you know what I'm saying, some popping, you know, it's just crazy as you go on, you know. But I'm just like an advocate for, you know, all of the street styles, and you know, I'm always learning, always a student. So I don't know, like I'm not much of a person for words, and I never was. You know, I grew up in 2D art, so it was always quiet, and I'm always like drawing still lifes or something like that. So dancing was a way for me to like, I don't know, express myself without like really speaking, because you know, when I was growing up, I didn't really speak a lot, you know. And also I was very active though, you know what I'm saying? I had a lot of energy I wanted to exert, and so this was just right there for me, you know, like something I can just like get my aggression out, you know, and be creative at the same time. So I think that is the why. And I love music. I love the music. You know, my brother was an MC, so I would hear certain music, it would make me feel a certain type of way, and that was it, you know.
I know the one thing that Stringz that you were telling me when you were starting to break was because you was a graphic artist, or you're a graphic artist, and you did graffiti and all that stuff too. That it was like a canvas. You were telling me like that you loved creating sets and from point A to point B. So I remember that him talking about that. Like it's just the creation of it, of like see where it could go from up and down, left and right, and circles and stuff like that, especially with breaking. And for breaking to be all on fours, one of the only dances that's all like on the floor on fours. You spin on your head, you spin on your back, you spin on your ear. Maybe not your ear, but who knows though. But it's like very, so breaking is this very, in hip hop music, so I didn't like get into it until 2001 and didn't know anything about like the hip hop culture, hip hop. And the first time I heard Jay Dilla was upstairs at St. Andrews, and DJ House Shoes was playing it. And it was just amazing. It was on Friday nights there. And it's just the feeling of like the boom bap of hip hop, of expressing that, what he said, the aggression and everything like that, with the top rock, with the down rock, the go downs, everything like that, to be funky and just to be you. I've in the 90s, like I did a lot of like the what they call New Jack Swing, kind of like, you know, the Bobby Brown and like the Running Man, the Roger Rabbit and all that stuff. I did that growing up, and so I like to incorporate that in my top rock and my top styles. And I just, the feeling of it, of just being free of dancing, that especially I love top rock. Out of the breaking, I love top rock.
Like that type of stuff, that's like more of the whacking, West Coast, yeah. But she's really good at it though, man. She gets it in. As far as Detroit style. Like I felt a responsibility, you know, as a dancer, you know, traveling and things like that. And for years, when I came back to Detroit and, you know, was asking a question about, you know, this exclusive dance form called JIT, you know, we didn't really have a history together, you know, as far as documentation and things like that, like other places did, you know, where I would go to like New York, the birthplace of, you know, hip hop and breaking, you know, they knew who their OGs were, you know, they had the instructionals, they, you know, it was all put together very well. So when I came back, you know, I felt like that's something that I can contribute, you know, like begin to start, you know, those conversations and, you know, connecting the dots and things like that. And I actually made a film about it, a documentary called The Jitterbugs Pioneers of the JIT. So we found, you know, through the research, everybody kept bringing up this group's name, the Jitterbugs. And, you know, when I would hear it, I would think of the swing dance, you know, and a lot of people did. So everybody was saying, oh, came from the 20s, but it came from a group called the Jitterbugs from Detroit. And to be a Jitterbug in Detroit around the 70s and the 80s, it meant to be a criminal. So this is a street dance form. These guys were a street, you know what I'm saying? It was three brothers. They had two friends with them originally, but most of their career was three brothers. So at that time, the style was being done to funk music. So it started off as a funk style, but we know that Detroit is the home of techno. You know, that's going towards the turn of the 80s when electro and techno music started to emerge. And so the dance started to evolve more. It started to get faster. More footwork concepts started to come in. There was another group called the Mad Dancers. And you know, what they implemented into jitting, you still see it today. So it's like you have a classical style and you have like more of a contemporary style now. It's, you know, it's been here since the 70s, so it's like a lot of things have picked up and, you know, still into the dance itself, so it's a very thick dance, you know. Also, there was a point where popping and locking was incorporated with jitting and it became its own thing, which is what we know as funketeering. So that's another branch of jitting that's like its own unique style. So yeah, it's very thick history. If you would like to know more, you know what I'm saying, check out the documentary. Yes, and yeah, it's free on Amazon Prime, so yeah. All right, we're gonna go over some jitting fundamentals, nothing too serious, but of course you can't talk about jitting without the kick and the wiggles, right? Kicking is easy, anybody can kick, but to kick and wiggle, that's a little bit different. So we're gonna go over some kick wiggle, you know, concepts, and then we'll go from there. All right, here we go. So just regular kick. Kick and wiggles, right? I'm gonna show you a kick, wiggle, shuffle.
Growing up, I did show choir actually for almost 9 years, from fourth grade through senior year. I was part of the dance faction in middle school. We did singing and dancing show choir, and then I was part of the select ensemble in high school as audition based only, both of those groups. I also did musical theater. I did like Fame, Little Shop of Horrors, and the Princess and the Once Upon a Mattress. So I did those. So I always love singing and dancing. I love, like I said before, I love Janet. I grew up listening to her, Selena's, rest in peace, I love her, Aliyah. So I always want to sing and dance on stage, but I was not as confident with my singing than I was in the dancing, so I just put my singing kind of on the back burner. Actually, when I first met Haleem, when we were still friends, I was just like, I want to be an Asian pop star. And he like really believed in me. That was back when I was like, what, 18, 19? So, but I just never went for it because I was very, very just nervous about it. So I just stuck with dancing. But I just started getting a little bit more confidence bit by bit, because I started listening to BTS. Their message, the message actually resonates with me because ever since I started teaching, I always tell my kids to open up at the beginning of the class and then of class, hug yourself because you love yourself, nod your head because you're super cool and awesome. And when I first heard, I heard of BTS prior to when they kind of got bigger in America. They have a whole Love Yourself series that talks about loving yourself and like being true to yourself and is going for your dreams. It doesn't matter like who you are or what you do. And that was just so like beautiful. And so when I started watching them and as Asian representatives, I'm like, dude, if they could do that, not say I'm gonna be like woo, but if I could just be in my own right, to be myself as BGIRL Mama, to write my songs, to get myself out there, to be confident and just don't care, just do it. And then like, finally, I got my first single out called Breathe. It came out in November. I did my website last year. I'm on Spotify. I'm on Apple. I just did it all. And so. Produced my own music, wrote my own lyrics, and I just feel really good about it. And I'm working on my next single called Get It, Got It Good, and I'm just hoping that I could incorporate me as BGIRL Mama, performing artist as a whole, as a dancer and as a singer. So I'm hoping to create an awesome show that includes that singing and dancing. So I'm looking forward to it. I am scared, so scared and nervous, but excited at the same time. So the only thing I could do is just keep on praying and keep on trying my best, and to be me. Like, I don't care. If you have any self-doubt at all in yourself, just look deep inside yourself and just tell yourself that you could do it. Look in the mirror and just tell yourself, give yourself a big smile and just be like, I'm so-and-so and I'm gonna rock this day, okay? Just do it. I'm not endorsing Nike.
Okay, so some of the collaborations that I've worked on, or worked with, is one is definitely ensemble called the Hinterlands, right? And they're more based in physical comedy and theater based. And for me to work with them was actually, it turned out to be a blessing because jitting and our dance form is known to be in a certain type of environment, but I'm glad I was able to just go ahead and collaborate because really we had some interesting pieces together, you know what I'm saying, and it led to opportunities where we had to tour. Like we toured in China twice, so I was able to go to Shanghai and Beijing my first time. The next time we went to Chengdu. First time I went to China, it was like, 2 to 3 weeks, and then like when we went to Chengdu, it was like almost a month, I think, and so you know that in itself was just like a golden experience. I know what it's like to just I think, at one point we were in an Airbnb, so it's like I had my own key. I could just walk out. And China is like the most foreign place, you know what I'm saying? Like you don't know where you at, nobody's speaking English, like you can't read none of the signs, so it was just like that experience, man, that was one of my favorites, you know what I'm saying, being in China. So shout outs to the hinterlands. We had like so many memorable moments. Who else? I worked with Cheeto Johnson, and he has he's from Zimbabwe. He has a cultural center here in Detroit, and actually I met him through the hinterlands. And, me and the hinterlands collaborating with JIT. He heard the name JIT, and it instantly took him back to Zimbabwe because they have a style called JIT tea, right? So, long story short, we end up like just scheduling a meeting. It was like this whole thing where like maybe we can do like some type of exchange online with a dancer in Zimbabwe just to kind of show the differences. And then we actually did that, and then they pitched like, they got funding around this project, and I was able to go to Zimbabwe for like over a month. You know what I'm saying? So first time in Africa, and that experience was just so crazy, So I got a chance to like really go as a researcher, collaborating with, artists out there, performing, teaching, learning, so that's the motherland, like something like I never thought in a million years I would be able to do it. And then same thing, I'm there for months. I know what it's like. I know what it's like to just be chilling, and then the power goes down. So they have power outages regularly, you know what I'm saying? Like, something that, we take for granted here. When you over there and the power go off, you just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Until it come back on. It could be like hours, But just the pace of, how other people live and things like that, it was real interesting.
I would love to do a lot more collaborations. I've done shows with Jessica Caremore. She asked me to do the Detroit Women Rock at the African American Museum back in 2016, and then also sometimes at Mahogany Jones, she actually was my MC and host for the first and only battle that I threw a dance competition at Studio One in Madison Heights. That's our crewmates' studio. And I made sure to have all the elements there, and all the elements of hip hop right here at my event. So she spit some of her songs. It was so much fire there, and I had artwork there. We had the dance battle. It was all styles, so it had breaking and any dance style that you wanted to do. And the DJs, I had DJs there as well. So that was huge for me, and that was actually a fundraiser for the foundation, the women hip hop. So, and Piper Carter, I've collaborated with her too. She actually filmed my first music video, Breathe, so that was really awesome. So I've done a lot of, I did the Detroit women's hip hop, Detroit female, what is that? The Detroit hip hop. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Detroit Women in Hip Hop at the Garden Theater, the concert. I did that and actually invited my crewmates, Venus Fly and Amara, Mama Squared, to be part of that as well. Rhapsody was actually the headliner for that, so that was really cool. Um, what else? So yeah, Piper and Mahogany Jones, Jessica Caremore. When Sakari was here, the 5E Gallery, when it was up and going, that was like amazing during that time, every Tuesday night. Um, Anything else? I don't have like, I'm hoping to have like great stories like Haleem one day, so yeah.
She got great stories. I did remember a few other Detroit ones for myself, though, was Mike Ellison, with the Afro Flow. We went on plenty of tours. It was a point where we had our own like sprinter, where I had my picture on there. Like we traveling and touring, and so that was a great experience. Like one of them, we did like a whole thing on Fela Kuti, and we would go into the schools, and we had this whole performance. It's like an informants type of structure, and it was really great, very well received. I wish we could just keep doing that, but that was a great show. I actually, from that show, I was able to take certain elements and bring into like certain things I was doing, so I learned a lot from that. Man, I really like house music. I think that's one of my top genres. I mean, I could listen to house music all day. We have a good house scene in here in Detroit, good house musicians, producers. We're actually spoiled here in Detroit. There's just places you can go for free and just really vibe out. And I feel like you can do any style to house music. So like I can break, I can jit, I can house dance, and do anything I really want under that umbrella. I think another style, genre for me is hip hop. Like I like a certain type of like just raw hip hop beats. We used to have that infrastructure during the St. Andrews era, and once things got commercial, the radio took over. Nobody was trying to go to the clubs no more because nobody was really like dancing like that, and music changed. So it really pushed us out to like practice facilities, and you just don't get the same. It's just not the same, man.
Yeah. It started going down when they was trying to implement these dress codes. Like you're playing top 40 hip hop or all this stuff, but you want us to not wear sneakers, to not wear sweatpants, to not wear jerseys, to not wear hat. Like, does that make sense? Like hip hop swag is like, that came from the B-boys, and the B-girls, like that swag stuff. So we were playing hip hop, but we can't dress hip hop. Does that make sense? So it just went down from there. And then when St. Andrews, they got rid of 3 floors of fun, that was like, I felt like this was going on, that funeral, like, damn, like it was crazy. Yeah, it was. And then we tried to like go, because we went to Clutch Cargo's, that was pretty decent. And then we ended up trying to go to Club 7, and that was just like, and it was just going down from there. It wasn't the same anymore. Like the last time we even State Theater, we started going to State Theater around like 2006, 2007, and then it changed to the Fillmore, and then and then it's never. That's been like what 14 years of not people experiencing that great moment of Detroit hip hop culture, of just watching people break and just having a good time. Like, man. But if I would go back to the question, I love hip hop. I love the boom bap in hip hop. I love the fierceness. I definitely love rock breaks. I actually I've created some rock break tracks on my Spotify and Apple. But so I created some of that. I love rock breaks. So I love and I love funk music. I really really love funk music, especially '90 era hip hop music. Love it, love it. And then some of the disco songs that came on that comes on like and of course house too, like you could do anything with house, like what he says, but hip hop for me, like I love it. And BTS music. Yeah. 사랑해. 보라해.
I would say as far as jitting goes, I'm more of like the electro, head, you know what I'm saying? Like Model 500, Juan Atkins, that era of music, then it kind of went to ghetto tech, and it had its run, but I think it's gonna go back to more electro bass, But yeah, aux 88s, so many. Yeah, we got so many producers and DJs. Man, I would have to look at my phone and really give you some names. So like if I'm, doing choreography, it's like, we have a philosophy, like if you do get inspired by something that you see, we call it, like you have to make it, you gotta make it your own. You see what I'm saying? So, but definitely, yeah, there's basics to everything. You definitely wanna, acquaint yourself with the basics and things like that, learn the history. But then, once you know the rules, it's about breaking the rules, really try to level up and, really try to like bring something to it, and create. So once you have all of the tools. So like she was saying earlier about like just, seeing it as a canvas, for me it's like, if you know anything about like design principles, like, you have repetition, juxtaposition, contrast, you have texture, you have, line, shape, you know what I'm saying? So all of this is, can be translated in a physical form, and that for me it's like, okay, that's how you can keep the eye, so that's like kind of like a direction that I kind of take through dance. So we're going to do another kick wiggle variation here.
So for me, because I teach hip hop dance classes at the studio mainly, and I teach jazz when I need a jazz teacher, beginning jazz. But when I teach hip hop in my classroom, I never choreograph outside the studio. It just never works for me. I am on the spot. I freestyle to the song at the moment, and that's how I choreograph for my kids. Because for me, hip hop is a feeling at that moment. So as I'm playing the song and I feel it, whatever, if it's on a certain part of instrument, if it's on the word, if it's on the beat, if it's whatever, it's part of that. If I'm feeling it, it's going to be part of the dance. So that's how I work at the studio, is through actually my freestyle dancing at that moment with my students. Sometimes I get, when I ask for ideas from them, or if I see something that I see in them, I'm like, oh, we're going to keep that. That was good, girlfriend. That was good. Or good, boyfriend. I'll keep it. In the studio base, it's freestyle for me. In breaking, we call it sets or combos. When we go out and battle, we try to have an arsenal when we compete or battle, and like what he said is about setting yourself apart, flipping the script of anything that you see, make it your own, and just try to be original as much as you can, and to represent yourself. So that's on the breaking aspect. I don't really choreograph like for whacking. All of that is freestyle. I never had to do that for that. But in class, freestyle. Breaking wise is just, like he said, painting on the floor and see what goes and what not. And whatever rhythm that goes out there for the competition, you better make sure it's on that rhythm and the beat. I try not to do like a whole complete set from top to bottom as I'm feeling it when I'm battling. Hey, what's up? So BGIRL Mama here. So I am going to teach a little bit of the elements of breaking. So I'm going to start off with the top rock, and crossover is the most fundamental part of that. Okay, here we go. Crossover. You could do any type of variations with that, or like it's also called the two-step. From the two-step is also the step touch, right? So let's get a little bit of variation for that. I'm gonna add in a crossover to the back. Here we go. You could do your arms anyway, as long as it's to the rhythm. You could just go in and out like this while you're doing it. Some people like to do the roll. Up, da, 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 up. So let's try with the roll. You could do different variations of the crossover, the step touch, or the two-step, however you want to call it. You could do out, in, out, in. Or you could do jump like you're in a box. So the easiest way, not the easiest way, one of the ways you could do top rock is to create a box. So you're inside the box, you have the sides and the corners. And you could hit all the sides of the box or the corners as well, okay? You could spin in the box, you could jump out, in and out of it. I feel like I was doing spit out to the first of my mind. But here we go. So So, like I said, play in your box with that. You could do any variation you like. You could do double taps, triple taps. For instance, so the next thing I'm gonna show, there is a lot more to top rock of what I just showed. So just make sure to do your research about it, okay? I actually liked watching B-Boy Born's top rock workshop as well as Ken Swift. They're awesome. So what I'm gonna do now is the next element is a go down, okay? Or like a go down transition. I'm back. I just like this mic because I just really want to sing. But anyway, so I'm gonna spin down. All right, here we go. Of your feet, okay? Make sure you're doing that. You don't want to kink up your ankles, okay? There's a lot of other go downs like the cork. You could spin down, Zulu spin down. Go downs, just like the top rock, you could come up with any type of go down transition to the floor. Now, when you're onto the floor, it is called down rock or footwork. All right, so this is the third element right here, guys. I'm gonna do what they're called switches. A lot of people today call it CCs, but if you hear switches or CCs, they're talking about the same thing. So this is home position or catcher's position or zero position. A lot of people give this a different name. So this is basically base for your footwork. Very important because all footwork goes back to this position, what I'm about to show you. There's also 6-step. That would take actually a while to show you that, but there's 6-step for the 6-step. Let me try to do it really quick. You got this. Here we go. From the back. Six up, you just gotta practice it, all those 6. And you gotta make sure it flows and all go together. And you gotta try it the other way. Figure it out the other way yourself. All right, so, and like I said, there's a lot of other footwork variations as well, but 6-step and the switches or the CCs is probably the main foundations for down rock. And then, let me see, so you got your top rock, you got some go downs, you got your footwork or your down rock. So the next thing would be power moves, or the dynamics, right? So to be honest with you, one of the very first dynamic moves was actually a bridge, which is this. Another one would be the butt spin. Yes, I said it, the butt spin. So you just spin on your butt. And then back, and then after that was the back spin. So it's a circular movement with your body. Can't forget to freeze, okay? Freezing is, have to do the freeze. So you can do any type of freeze. You can do elbow freeze on the floor, and when you get up, you have to do it. That's where the B-boy swag came from, here. And like I said, here we go. Let me tell you this. Open up, do it. I'm watching you. Here we go, open up. Hug yourself because you love yourself. Nod your head because you're super cool and awesome. All righty.
Yes, advice. I would say try to really keep the fun aspect in it, while, taking it very serious. I know that's very kind of like, but
Oxymoron.
yeah, but I think they get it though, because it's like, sometimes, like for me right now at the stage I am in, having like this long resume and, have traveled the world and, see this, it's like you can almost like, right now I'm about like just getting back into the fun of things, because it can easily, like once the business starts to come into play and then expectations and things like that, you can kind of lose in enjoyment, you know what I'm saying? And like, so you just gotta keep reminding yourself, like, why did you do this in the first place? But at the same time, you want to invest in your craft, because that's how you're gonna like, reap any benefits. Because I know a lot of dope dancers, and we hear the story everywhere I travel. Like somebody always got a story about this dope dancer that nobody never seen, because they were so busy being so dope, but they didn't really, and this is not for all cases, but like invest in something to where they can take them to that next level. You know what I'm saying? So, the people I come across, students or whatnot, I always try to share that, because I do see a lot of people who've taken that path of like, being extremely good at their craft, but they're not really doing the other things that's gonna really make them great. Really like get their full,
Potential.
yeah, potential. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that would be my advice.
So I would say, first of all, youngins, be you. That's the very first thing. Um, and if you could find a mentor that could show you the way, like what he said, he spits his knowledge out to people. If he's such a giving and like just a very caring person, individual, that he will share his knowledge, to people that want to be a professional artist or whatever that you want to do. And then that's another thing too, is about being professional. Like, what does it take to be professional? Like all of those characteristics and whatnot. And always work hard. I believe in continuous improvement, always continuous education. I believe in practice makes progress. I believe in that too. So all of that just is just humbling, you know what I mean? Because it's never like, oh, that's it. I'm here and that's it. No, you could always like push yourself, push yourself, push yourself, push yourself, push yourself. Keep on going, you know. You could reinvent yourself. You could always like trying to like look for yourself of who you are as a person, because we're always searching, right? We're always trying to be like, who am I, or what do I really like? What do I really love? Like, test it out. You know what I mean? Because you never know unless you try. You have to like try and go for it. And that, easier said than done, right? Because look at me, 38, and finally like, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and do my singing. But I think everything happens for a reason, and you just go with your own pace and forget about the naysayers. And you're gonna have a lot of naysayers, you're gonna have a lot of haters, a lot of people just gonna push you down and just be like, why are you doing this, how come you're doing this, blah 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 blah. Like, they didn't mind their own business and just do you, okay? Because no, I'm serious, because I got caught up in that. I got caught up in like, oh, how come you're doing that? I'm like, because that's just, I'm trying to focus and do what I need to do for myself, like why are you questioning me? Because you know why? Because they felt guilty. They weren't doing the same thing. They felt guilty because they were watching you work hard and do your thing, and while they're down there, just think about that, okay? If anybody questions you of why you're working so hard, you're doing the right thing, okay? You're doing the right thing. So just keep on going with that. Because if you have, like I said, if somebody's talking, you're making the noise.
And of course, we give all praises to the Most High, you know what I'm saying? Because, like, I have to give, like, early on in my career, I prayed for what I wanted, you know what I'm saying? And over time, my testimony is he answered, so just, he was able to guide me because we're people, like, we only can plan so much, you know what I'm saying? So it's like you have to walk by faith.
He's the best of planners.
Yeah, so that would be the number one for me, because you can try everything in the world and it might not work. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying.
That's true. That's true. But you still never know unless you try, But you gotta have that faith. Like we feel,